All right, welcome to Shelf Talkers here at the Downtown Huntsville Library. My name is Suzanne Flynn. I'm the Adult Programming Librarian here, and this is Mick, our lead for our Readers Advisory Services.
Hello, and welcome.
And we are not quite 6 feet apart, so we're going to be alternating who's masked and who's unmasked for safety. So, for today's episode, we thought we would talk a little bit about our U-Read services that we offer here at the Downtown Library. So U-Read is a reader's advisory program where you, the readers, let our staff know what you like to read, what kind of styles you're looking for.
Sort of like a personal shopping experience kind of thing.
And so you would tell us, and then Mick and her team of readers advisors pick out books personally for you. And so we asked our camera operator to fill out a form for us. And so this is sort of what they've checked off. So the first question on our U-Read form, which you can see for yourself at hmcpl.org/URead. The first question is, what genres do you like to read? Circle all that apply, or check all that apply. And our camera operator selected that they like recent titles, classic titles, literary fiction, nonfiction, mysteries, thrillers, biographies, historical fiction, horror, urban fiction, and graphic novels. So you're not limited to just, oh, I read one specific book. If you read a bunch, you can mark all of them. Or if you do only like, say, science fiction, just circle science fiction. It's what you read. Nobody else sees these, so don't worry about any judgment from us. Then the next question is, choose the format you prefer to read. And the choices are book, large print, audiobook, ebook, or e-audiobook. And so if you select ebook or e-audiobook, we would give you selections from our Overdrive service or on Hoopla. For book, large print, and audiobook, those will be physical items. The next question is, would you like the suggested titles to be placed on hold for you? It's a yes or no. If you select yes, what Mick and her team will do is once they've selected books for you, they'll place them on hold on your account and you can just come pick them up at your leisure. If you select no, they'll send you an email with their book selections, and you have the choice of, you can go into our catalog on the website and place them on hold for yourself. That's purely up to you, whatever you're more comfortable with. The next question is going to be, what's your preferred pickup location? That's especially important if you're going to be doing holds or anything. Just select whichever library is your closest one. It doesn't have to be downtown. So if you prefer going to the Hazel Green Library or the Madison Library or the Triana Library, you can contact the Reader's Advisory Service and have this filled out, and they'll send the books to the library you would rather use. And then there's a couple of short answer sections. The first one is, suggest books or authors you did not enjoy. What didn't you like about those books or authors? It's easy to say what you like, but you actually learn a lot more from what you don't like. So like our camera operator said that they do not like Jane Austen or Bronte, and they specifically said because they're too girly. And then they also said they never finished Gilead by Marilynne Robinson because it was too slow. And then the final question is, tell us any other information we should know about your reading habits or goals. Our camera operator is an avid reader, so they read a couple of books a week, so they want something pretty fast. Once you've filled all this out, if you fill it out online, or you can pick up a form here at the library, it goes to Mick and her Reader's Advisory team, and Mick has selected some books for our camera operator, so I'll let her tell you all about the process that goes into that.
Well, sort of. We're going to go into a few of the selections and why I chose them, but I think next week we had talked about having a more extensive book conversation. Well, we'll go into more depth about pace, locale, and that sort of thing.
Do you want to take your mask off since I've got mine back on?
Thank you. Forget to take it on, forget to put it on. So our camera operator reads about 2 or 3 books a week, and we're thinking a 2-week checkout. So our goal was to pick out 6 items for the camera operator. And in this case, we chose 5. I chose 5, based on what the camera operator, I tell you, this is going to get, had given us information about. And then one that I always like to throw in what we call the wild card, and I'll explain about that later. So based on...
I was going to say, which one do you want me to hand you
I think I can
first?
start. Oh, if I don't strangle myself on the bed. Based on the circulation history that we do look into, and I must explain, normally in this process, we use the hold process because a lot of, especially with the situation as it is right now, and just the way libraries are, recent titles was one thing, the option that was selected. And if you are really liking recent titles, patience is probably going to be required sometimes because you're going to have to put books on hold. But in this case, I wanted to have physical examples for you, so I limited myself to suggestions that I actually could get hold of the book. So, that being said, for historical fiction, which was selected, I picked Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. It is book 1 in the Thomas Cromwell trilogy. I chose Hilary Mantel as an author for the camera operator because Hilary Mantel is probably one of the best historical fiction writers of all time, in my unbiased opinion. She writes very much like she's a fly on the wall, but in the conversations that are occurring in this historical time period, she uses modern English so that you're still able to understand. But boy, does she have what only can be just a sly, malicious form of phrase that she uses in her books. And we don't know a lot about Thomas Cromwell, but she fills the gaps in a way that's very plausible because she did a lot of research. It's very colorful, very rich. I think the camera operator is going to like this one. Next in line, graphic novels was suggested, and our camera operator has, and by the way, this is a storyline in this graphic novel by Kurtis J. Weibe. This is a combination of volumes 1 and 2 in the Rat Queen series. I chose this because it's definitely not girly, something the camera operator had complained about. This is based on a very sassy gang of 4 ne'er-do-well characters, female characters. Very three-dimensional, very fast-paced. Our camera operator has design interest, and I think she's going to like the illustrations, especially later on in the series, which I believe there's 6 at the moment. Don't count me on that. Other artists take a turn, and seeing the difference in how the characters are expressed, I think the camera operator will like. And my favorite character, Betty, loves eating candy. Who cannot like this book? Nonfiction, also selected. Based on the camera operator's history, I chose The Alchemy of Us, How Humans and Matter Transformed One Another by Anissa Ramirez. She is a material scientist and a science writer. I chose this because looking at the circulation history, I would say the patron that I was helping was very curious and likes to know what leads up to something. What is the history of something? And this she does very well. She talks about the impact on our culture, Earth culture, of 8 different inventions. My favorite was the one that was she chose to talk about Carl Sagan and how he came about choosing the music that was going to go on the Voyager and how that affected our culture and reflects our culture. I think she'll like that one.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
Said she again. Next, biographies were chosen, and I chose I Miss You When I Blink. It's a collection of biographical essays, very not slow-moving, which is why I chose this. She does not like slow-moving stuff. And this is by Mary Laura Philpott. It's more of a conversation, the kind of conversation you would have with a very good friend who will not judge you. What it's like, she kind of talks about what it's like to live with the yous that you've been in the past and the yous that you've yet to become. Kind of the terrain between the life that we anticipated when we were younger and the one that we're inhabiting right now. So at this point in time especially, I think this is a good pick. Now, as a bit of a stretch, mysteries were also chosen, and I noticed the camera operator had read Louise Penny. And again, we're going to say, and by the way, this is Death and Brittany by Jean-Luc Bannalec. Whenever a patron comes in and says, I really like this author, can you suggest something? We always say, there's no one like Louise Penny. But we can identify what about Louise Penny that you like. And in this case, I think it's not so much the protagonist, because in Louise Penny, it's Gamache. This one is Commissaire Georges Dupin, very different than Gamache, a cantankerous caffeine addict, very irritable. But the Louise Penny takes place in a small Canadian village called Three Pines. This is in a small French coast seaside locale. They both really reflect, they're so good at describing what's going on in the locale that in this case you can actually smell the sea, I swear. And you can taste what is steak frites? Is that French fries?
I would think so.
I think so. But anyway, you can taste it. The character development in both is very similar. You really get to know the characters in the village for good or for bad. I think she'll like that series. And again, I could not get a copy of the first one, so this is my personal copy. Now, for the wild card, we always throw something in just to give people an opportunity to explore something that they have not at least let us know that they have explored. So I chose a science fiction novel, How Long Till Black Future Month, by N.K. Jemisin. By the way, that title refers to a title of an Afrofuturism essay that she had written. This is part of, and this is not part of one of her original series. She's got 3, the Inheritance Trilogy, the Dream Blood duology, the Broken Earth series, and a new one coming out, A Great City. Very much anticipated, and it just came out. Unfortunately, we don't have it yet, or I don't have a physical copy for her. So we chose this collection of short science fiction and fantasy stories to give her kind of a taste of what Jemisin is like as a writer. She's very world building, like very good sci-fi writers can be. Very fast-paced, so I think that camera operator will appreciate this. Very culturally diverse, which represents most of Jemisin's writing. So, those are my 6.
Jemisin's an award winner. She won the Hugo 3 years in a row, which is a feat that had never been accomplished
starting
before.
Out,
yeah,
she wrote,
it's quite the big deal. So I think those are all really good. So hopefully our camera operator will be able to tell us how they feel about this. And when you do the YouRead service, I forgot to take my mask off. When you do the YouRead service, you can start a dialogue with your reader's advisor. And if you've already read some of the books that they've recommended, or if you liked some of the books that they recommended, or you didn't like some of the books they recommended, you can let them know and they can put more books on hold for you. As long as you keep letting them know, hey, I would like some more books, the reader's advisor would be happy to keep
feedback is very important. You get the best suggestions when we know what you like and what you don't like.
Yes.
We're not sensitive much.
So, thank you for joining us this week with our discussion about YouRead. And if you're interested in getting your own personalized selection of books from Mick and her team, just go to hmcpl.org/YouRead, and they'll be happy to give you a hand. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.